I think that movie is like true to form. I'm sure anchor people like have their warm up rituals.
Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Thank you everyone for joining us for the Pre-Sales Moment Can't Be About Pre-Sales with Todd Jansen. My name is Ty Sartor, and I'm the Buyer Enablement Engineer at Consensus, and I'll also be your moderator for today's session. DemoFest is presented by Consensus. Consensus is leading the world into the era of demo automation. Our platform gets your buyers what they need when they need it. It then multiplies your revenue team's impact with unique insights on those buyers. As a result, you'll see faster close times, larger deal sizes, and higher close rates. You can learn more at goconsensus.com or by viewing the automated micro demo at the link in the Docs tab on the right of your screen. We encourage you to participate in today's session. On the right side of your console, you can see a few ways to engage with us throughout the session. The chat function will allow you to engage with us as well as other attendees. Our speakers will be taking questions from the audience at the end of the session. However, we encourage you to ask questions at any time through the Q&A box so that we can field them and have them ready. If at any time you have any technical difficulties, head to the gear icon at the bottom of your screen. You'll be met with a help document to help troubleshoot common issues. I'm pleased to welcome Todd Jansen, the newest member of our executive team at Consensus. We're excited to have Todd lead our buyer enablement and CS teams and be an incredible resource to our customers and prospects. Prior to joining Consensus, Todd spent 20 years at Salesforce. Starting as an SE, he quickly discovered his passion for helping the SC organization scale. This led to the creation of the demo engineer role, which is now a global industry standard. From there, he created the infamous Q branch, where sales teams came for deal closing stories, prototypes, visionary demos, industry demos, jaw-dropping presentations, RFPs, demo automation, and C-suite videos. Todd is extremely passionate about the sales solutions profession. He's an engineer to the core, both by education, go Cal Poly, and profession. When not working, you can find Todd with his wife, 3 kids, and mini Aussie Shepherd, soaking up the outdoors and hitting the trails. And with that, I'll turn the rest of our time over to you, Todd.
Wow. What an intro, Ty. Thank you for that. It was really good to spend some time with you the other week up in Seattle. So that was very cool.
Was a blast.
Yeah. So let me get the presentation up, and while I'm talking here and chewing gum at the same time, look, it's for those that saw the announcement on LinkedIn, I'm newly at Consensus, and I just wanted to say a quick thank you for all the friends and colleagues and supporters out there. If you've been through a transition like that, it's a big deal. So all the kind wishes and likes and comments have really meant a lot over the week. So just wanted to say thank you to the community out there. So let's kick this thing off. Interesting title: The Pre-Sales Moment Can't Be About Pre-Sales. What is hidden in that? Let's get into it. So my friend Rob Dean over at the Access Group, he has this awesome quote, and I hear Don Carmichael quote it all the time on his podcast. And he says, "We, the pre-sales, are masters of the mid-funnel." And it's so true. And if I look at this diagram, it's not only are we masters of the mid-funnel, we're like masters of the middle of the mid-funnel, if you really think about it. And, the word pre-sales has really done, it's been a great job to unite us as a profession. Got to give some credit to James Kakis to really bring this all together 5 years ago at the Pre-Sales Collective. And it's been a great term up until this point. But I think that term can sometimes lock us into old behaviors. And a lot of what today is about is just to get your mind thinking about new motions and new behaviors. And the last thing I want to do is convince you that, the term has to be pre-sales or solutions or SE or whatever. I don't care. Call your teams whatever you want. But this is more of just a mentality. And I want to stretch you today. So at the beginning of the year, I was listening to some podcasts, just catching up. This is actually what I like to do in my spare time when I'm walking the dog, is listen to pre-sales podcasts. And, Don, maybe we can convince you to come back out of retirement because you had a great podcast. But I was listening to this great episode right at the beginning of the year. He had Andy Ryan on, who is the director of solutions at Calypso AI. And he had two really profound quotes during this session. I stopped and I wrote them down. The first one was, Andy said, "The world is changing. There is no longer the notion of just new business driving the growth of the company." And that just so resonated with me. And then the second one, to really cap it off, he said, "We have to rethink how solutions supports the company in changing that dynamic. Revenue is revenue, period." Andy goes on to talk about how just changing his team's name to Solutions really unlocked this different mindset within his organization and really got everyone towards a revenue mindset versus a we just support sales mindset. And so I think this is just, this perfectly sums up what I want to talk to you all today. And at the back end of my presentation, I'm going to do some live demos, which is always a recipe for potential disaster. But I've got Ty here to help me in case things get off the rails. So I like to joke that maybe this is the extent of my artistic skills. That's not necessarily true, but I did make this, and I won an award for it. Just kidding. And so I played with that quote a little bit on the previous slide, and I crossed out some words, right? Because when I think about this sentence, if I read it the first way I wrote it, pre-sales is about being sales aligned. And I think when we talk about solutions, is about being revenue aligned. And in the world of SaaS, right, there is no one and done sale anymore, right? It is a continuous life cycle. And this is not news to anyone. So whether you like the funnel or you like the infinity loop or whatever you like, this is the reality today if you're selling SaaS software. Okay, this is not rocket science. And here's what's interesting is we Solutions, we are finding ourselves being drugged all over the funnel, not just the mid funnel, up funnel, and down funnel. And this isn't me saying this. This is actually happening. And it's happening because our buyers want that. Our buyers want your SE's knowledge at the beginning of the cycle. They're doing their own research online. They're trying to do everything to avoid talking to a salesperson. And they want what your SEs have. They want that knowledge and they want it on their time. And this is a trend and it's happening. It's also happening post-sale, right? They want that knowledge as well. And I put a little sticky note here to remind myself not to forget this. So buyers want it. Marketing is very much in tune with this, right? Marketing is now looking at solutions that very much cross over into our world. Marketing now wants test drives on the website. They want, demo simulations on the website. And so they've recognized that they need that SE knowledge and that product experience up higher in the funnel. And if you still don't believe me, check this out. So Gartner has come out with a new category. It is called automated demo applications. It's basically demo automation or buyer enablement, right? It's all kind of the same thing. They are making a big splash with this category. It's out, it's new, and they're going to be making a lot of press about it. In fact, there's a fellow at Gartner named David Yokelson who's presenting either later today or later this week who owns this category. So let's just take a minute. This is pretty cool. We have a fellow at Gartner who has not only recognized this category, he's put it on the map and it's a thing. And just to tell you how big of a thing it's going to be, Gartner's projecting that demo automation will be a $2.1 billion industry by 2026. So it's here to stay. It's pretty cool. Here's the bummer. And before you get your pants in a wad, I'll explain it. But Gartner is putting this technology in the MarTech stack. Now that kind of makes me mad, right? It kind of probably makes you mad too, right? Gets my pants in a bunch. But here's the reality, and I think the truth about that is that we don't have budgets. We typically don't have software budgets, and marketing does. And so we can kind of be mad all we want, but that's the truth of the matter. And so we'll talk about this in a little bit more, but I think we really do have to start, coordinating more with marketing upstream, customer success downstream. That's going to be a theme that you're going to hear from me today. So these are trends. These aren't things I'm trying to convince you of, but as I read and listen to podcasts, these are things that I'm coming across. Again, I don't think there's any rocket science here, but I thought I'd put them down on the page. The word solutions is coming up a lot. Talking about solutions being full funnel or part of the flywheel, customer journey, buying life cycle. You'll see this a lot in what Gartner's talking about. Buyer enablement, solutions leaders rolling into the CRO. I think that's a super positive trend, and is, I think, real recognition of the value that we add. And then I'm hearing a lot of customer success and solutions roll together under the same leader. And I'm definitely in that camp now that I'm at Consensus. And as I was reaching out to my peers out in the industry that are leading both CS and solutions, they were really pumped. They're like, yes, this is like a trend. This is a thing. And we're excited to see you part of it. All right. So I do think we're in transition, and some of us probably more than others. And some of us are going to get ahead of this change, and others are, we're probably going to go kicking and screaming. And I definitely have my kicking and screaming moments. But again, my goal here is not to convince you or tell you or be a fortune teller. I just want to get you thinking. And so I think we do need to look at the role, right? We need to start looking at it a little bit differently and redefine it a bit. That means we're probably going to have to rethink compensation. And I'll give you a great example. Back at my former company, I had a gentleman that made the best Consensus videos. His name's Aman. For those that know Aman, you know what I'm talking about. He's incredible. And he loved making Consensus videos. And his videos had thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views, and was related to millions and millions of dollars in closed business. How do you compensate someone that does that motion versus someone who's doing more of the traditional SE motion? So I just use that example. Like, we're going to have to think about this stuff. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough. We have to own our data. And so we have a lot of KPIs in the solutions world. We have a lot. And the challenge of some of these KPIs is that they're a good measurement of how our teams are performing. But if we're being honest, these aren't KPIs that show up in the board deck. These aren't KPIs that the CEO is talking about in the earnings call. Those are very different KPIs. And so I think the KPIs we have are fine, but I think we need to plug into some of the more traditional KPIs that businesses are measured by. And I'll show you an example of that in just a little bit. And last but not least, we have to start buying software. And I know that's, ironic coming from a guy that works for a software company, but last time I checked, I think we all work for software companies. And there is now software in our space, and we need to start using it. The role, the amount of responsibility that is put on our team's shoulders every day, every week, is only getting bigger. It's not going away. So we need to start buying some of this software to get ahead of it. All right. So let's talk about own our data. And, this is something I feel pretty passionate about. If we don't own our own data narrative, we don't own our future. So we need to really understand this. And, let me just jump into it. So I'll give you an example. And I love Gong for this example because it just shows you how far sales technology has come. But if we look at our solutions data, specifically when you look at demos, it is the largest black hole in the sales process, right? If I was going to ask you, how many demos did your team give last week? You could probably answer that. If I asked you, how many demos of a specific feature or product did your teams demo last month or last year? That gets really hard. Why? Because most demos are live. And unless we ask our teams to go back and document exactly what they clicked on, it's not really happening. And if you take a step back, that's just kind of crazy, right? And it's so weird, like quote yourself, but I couldn't find a quote, so I just threw it in here. And I've been yelling this at people for years, but we're recording salespeople's calls with Gong and things like Clary to make them 1% better. And we can't even tell you how many Sales Cloud or Service Cloud demos happened last month. Like, it's pretty wild. And so I think there's huge potential with some of this software that's coming out or that's already out for us to really get ahead of this black hole, this data set that really doesn't exist anywhere, and really own it. And I'll give you an example. So this was like super powerful. So obviously we implemented consensus at Salesforce. That's what part of what I've been doing for the last 4 years. And some people think, oh, it's just about sending videos out, right? That would be kind of that bottom yellow bar there, right? We're taking SE knowledge, we're packaging it up, and we're shipping it up the funnel. But as those that use consensus know, it's about digital discovery at the same time, right? We get to understand what they like, what they don't like, and what they watched. So next thing you know, our content is being pulled up way high in the marketing funnel. Next thing you know, we're making consensus videos for SDRs and BDRs. We're making consensus videos for AEs to qualify their deals better. And what's interesting is we started tying all those videos to campaigns, to marketing campaigns. And then someone in marketing said, you know what? Those videos are one of the best performing campaigns in the entire company. And next thing you know, I'm getting reports on marketing pipe and pipe maturation with the SE team's name next to it. And so I use this as an example of like marketing pipe maturation. These are not things pre-sales created. These are not things we traditionally own. These are kind of marketing measurements. But as we all know, those are things that are talked about every single week in sales and marketing within your companies. And now all of a sudden we have a piece of that pie. And I use this example just to say, like, just because we didn't invent it or we don't fully own it doesn't mean we can't be part of that data narrative. All right, I think I beat that horse. And look, one of the reasons I'm here at Consensus, and I've just like fallen in love with this category of demo automation and the fact that Gartner is recognizing it, and there's a fellow at Gartner that's focused on it. We're getting some incredible KPIs, and again, these are KPIs that CROs care about, that marketing cares about, and as you can see, when we get below the line, it's harder to track those type of KPIs with live demo. I do believe that's going to start to change with some of this technology, by the way. It's pretty cool. All right, so wanted to just quickly talk a little bit about our success at Consensus, or the team's success with Consensus at my previous employer of the last 4 years. And not from kind of a braggy standpoint, but just to show you what this technology can do at scale. So these were our results from last year. With the technology, 25,000 stakeholders were discovered. So these were people that we didn't know were part of the buying cycle. We might not even know they existed, and we were able to understand that they were part of the buying group and what they wanted. Over 133,000 demo views. So you notice this metrics in blue. The metrics in blue are, I would just say, this is what pre-sales and solutions cares about. These are things that get us excited. And the ones here in orange are things that get a CRO excited. And so that's why I've played with the colors here. 120,000 SE hours saved. In certain segments, we saw 2x close rates with reps that were using Consensus versus those that weren't. 24% faster deal qualification. We deployed this over 12,000 users globally. And probably one of the coolest things is that the number one SE for SMB got pulled on stage last year at company kickoff and recognized for her accomplishments. And she was a power Consensus user, and she attributed a lot of her success to that. So pretty cool stuff. All right. So KPIs, Todd, like what are you talking about? So you can do a quick Google search and you can just go learn about what are the top KPIs that marketing cares about, that customer success cares about, that BDRs care about, that CROs care about. And it might be a good exercise just to spend some time with these and say, is there behavior that our teams are already doing that might fit into this data narrative? And this is what I mean about we have to own this narrative, right? We have to connect the dots. We have to connect our behavior and what we do to things that matter most to our executives, boards, and Wall Street. And so I think it would be a worthwhile time just to spend some time with some of these or listen to some podcasts. All right. Next thing I was talking about was own the apps. So I will tell you from experience that buying software at a very large company was really hard. Really, really hard. In fact, I think there was only 3 applications that I was able to get through and actually purchase in my time there. And so I think it's a very new muscle for us in the industry. Maybe not for some of you. Maybe you're pros at it. And maybe you're somewhere small and it's just easy to like swipe the card and get software in. But for those of us in the enterprise, you need to spend some time learning how your company procures software. It felt like every time I went to bring a vendor in, there was a new step in the process that I didn't know about, and that step took another month. And so first kind of suggestion is get comfortable with that process. The second thing is, if it's big enough, most likely your CFO is going to have to approve it. Again, it might not be in your budget. It might be someone else's budget. So you're really going to have to do some cost benefit analysis. What's the impact on revenue? Is this going to save us money? And just assume that the CFO is going to have to rubber stamp it. Buying software in a vacuum is probably not a good idea, especially in this demo automation space. You might want to collaborate with marketing and see where their head's at. Collaborate with sales, right? In the case of Consensus, salespeople are the power user. Like they're the ones that are going to be doing a lot of the heavy lift. So you better make sure they like it. And so, yeah, just, collaborate with your peers. And lastly, like if we don't bring some of this technology in, someone else is going to do it. And I use marketing as an example here. Again, Gartner is saying this is part of the MarTech stack. Marketers are definitely starting to look at this space. And the last thing you want is someone making a decision that is for like top of funnel, hard coded on Rails tour on the website, and there's no benefit to solutions in that tool. So I think for several reasons you want to collaborate with your friends. This is just coming from experience, hence I called it the Todd Jansen's hierarchy of budget/benefit. This is just me speaking from experience. But as I would find cool software out in the industry that could really help SEs, like keep in mind, that's what I did for 20 years at Salesforce, was wake up every day thinking about how to make them spend more time with customers, make them more efficient, make them better, right? So I'd find some cool tech. And I quickly realized, like, if it was only benefiting a small group of SEs, like, there's no budget for that, right? No one was really interested in paying for it. Okay, well, maybe there was benefit to all SEs, right? And, you might put like an RFP solution in there. And it's like, yeah, like we're going to make everyone like so badass when it comes to this. And again, that was really hard to find budget for. And maybe you've experienced this too, but like, I say it bluntly and it kind of hurts, so forgive me, but kind of no one cares about our productivity. Kind of sucks. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I definitely felt that way. But as soon as we go up the pyramid and there was benefit to AEs, and even bigger than that, like there's benefit to revenue, now all of a sudden people started to get interested. And not only were they interested, budgets started to open up. So this is just a little bit of my kind of like, as you're analyzing some of the software, really think about how it benefits the sellers and revenue, and I think you'll be on the right path. All right. Again, I showed this earlier, but if you think about that previous funnel, if I was just selling to like the SE world, the metrics here in blue would have been really relevant and would have gotten us in solutions very excited. But it's not till you start having some of these metrics in orange that we're up at the top of that pyramid that people are willing to spend some money on it. All right, we're going to do some live demo. I'm actually going to start with a demo on Rails because I don't have access to this tool anymore. But we're going to gradually get into some live demo, and this should be fun. We're going to have plenty of time left over. Ty, I'm saying a quick little prayer here. I hope this all goes according to plan. What I wanted to do in this section is I wanted to inspire you a little bit about some of the technology that's out there to help solutions. You know, that was one of my asks at the beginning of this presentation is, hey, it's time to start looking at some software to help us do our jobs. And so I wanted to show you a little bit of software today that, you know, again, I'm not saying go out and buy these things. What I am saying is like, open your eyes. There's some pretty cool stuff out there. So the first one I wanted to show was Loopio for Salesforce. So this was an application formerly known as Omnio. Loopio bought them. And this is what we are using at Salesforce for RFP. And with the animation here, what you're seeing here is we can take an RFP that's in a spreadsheet and we ingest it into the tool. So we basically insert it. We do a couple of mapping steps. And then what Loopio for Salesforce does is it takes all the questions and it starts to auto answer as many of them as it can. And you can throttle this, right? You could say, hey, you know, this is for a government customer. I need 95% accuracy, right? In that case, it might not match as many. Or you're like, we see this RFP every week, you know, get a little bit loose with it, maybe like 60% accuracy, go answer those questions. So right here is pretty crazy because this is not the history of RFPs. The history of RFP is let's take a look at it and determine if we're going to spend time on it because it's a big time suck. And this tool radically changed how we approach the RFPs. We said, regardless of if we're going to respond to it or not, we are going to ingest it. And by ingesting it, one, we improve our knowledge base. And two, the tool has some intelligence that can tell us a lot about if there's a competitor in the deal and things like that. So, you know, this wasn't just creating a better copy paste. This was radically changing how we approached RFPs. You know, things like GPT or all the rave lately. This tool has been AI since day one. And so they brought those features in as well. So let's say you're an SE or an RFP specialist, you don't have an answer and you have to create a new answer. The tool will help you get that started. The other thing it does is help you create executive summaries for the RFP, which is super cool, right? Because like if you think about how RFP specialists work, they answer all the questions and then it's Friday and we're like, hey, like you've spent all week in copy paste hell. Time to get creative, right? And so this is why I love some of the Gen AI capabilities here. All right, that demo was on Rails. If you couldn't tell, I'm sure you could. This one is going to be live. So for this one, I'm going to need some volunteers, and I'll tell you what it is in a little bit. So 11 labs. 11 labs can take text and turn it into audio. And so yesterday, I logged into my 11 Labs account and I uploaded 2 minutes of me speaking and I trained it on my voice. So I think you could do it in less than a minute. I chose 2 minutes and it trained it up on my voice. And where we start to use this is making consensus videos. You know, maybe we have someone that we want to make all of our videos and they don't have the time. We can have someone write them scripts and create the audio if we don't like it, or if we have to redo the video, we change the text, hit regenerate, and it's instant. And so this has really sped up our time to value in creating videos. That's part one. The second part is multi-language. And this is just where it gets wild. And you know, maybe you won't sleep at night after you see this demo. I'm hyping this up. I hope it works. You can take someone that's never spoken any of the languages on this page, and it comes out pretty dang perfect. And we've been testing this with native speakers, and they've given us the thumbs up, and they said I couldn't tell the difference. And that, my friends, is what we're actually going to live demo right now. All right, so I have ChatGPT open. And so my the first volunteer I need is someone to raise their hand that speaks a foreign language and speaks it well. Not like my high school level Spanish, but is like fluent in a language. So Scottish, I don't think that's in there, no. Okay, Ahmed, what language do you speak? Arabic. And let's just make sure it's on here. I'm scanning. It is there. Okay, we have a winner. Okay, Ahmed, you are gonna be our honesty meter here, right? You're gonna have to tell us at the end of this if you believe this. Okay. The second thing I need is someone to give me a topic. And the last time I asked this question, someone said politics, and I would like to avoid that. So if someone has a good topic, type it in here. I'm going to get a flood. I can feel it. Baking. Thank you, Kelly. Oh, baking. You are people after my own heart. Oh, Star Wars. Oh my God. Okay. Let's Kelly was first in here. We're gonna do baking. Okay, so I'm gonna flip over to ChatGPT. So this is ChatGPT, and I have in my prompt here, give me a 30-second summary on, let's replace X with baking in Arabic. Let me just make sure I do that right. Yeah, that's right. Arabic. Okay. Picky. Okay. All right. Here goes. ChatGPT. Oh, interesting. Right to left. This is new to me. Okay. Let's copy that. Now I'm going to go over to 11 Labs, and I'm going to paste that in. And I don't know if I have to say what language. It probably can auto detect that. And now I'm going to hit generate speech. Okay, let me pause that because it has to buffer a little bit. And even at that, this audio might not, I don't know, we're having problems with the audio on the call. So I'm just gonna pause it here. And I'm gonna hit play. Ty, you're my eyes and ears. Tell me if it sounds like complete garbage.
الخبز عملية للعجين ومنتج غذائي محمر ومنتفخ من خلال تعريضه للحرارة. تعتمد عملية الخبز على تفاعل مكونات مثل الطحين، الماء، الخميرة والسكر. تضاف في بعض الأحيان.
Okay, I'll stop it there. I wish I could speak Arabic, but I don't. But I have to admit, I think I sounded pretty good. Wow. Okay. Wow, we got a solid from Ahmed. All right, like this is pretty cool. I'm actually pretty impressed myself. But like, how crazy is that? And like, there's so much to wrestle with in this space and AI and like, but like, think about the applications for business. And often, if we're gonna jump into this demo automation space and make videos, what is one of the biggest bottlenecks? It's, hey, so-and-so did a great job. And guess what? It's in American English. We are a global company. It's got to be in French. It's got to be in German, right? It's got to be in Arabic. And so this is what I mean. Like, we got to start looking at some of this technology to help ourselves. Okay, I'm glad that went well. And it looks like we have several Arabic speakers on the call, which is freaking awesome. All right. Second part of the demo. So 11 Labs helps with text to audio and translation. The next one gets a little bit freaky. And so there's a company out there called HeyGen. And actually, let me just tee this up real quick. Share this tab instead. So HeyGen picks up, and they work well with 11 Labs, they're partners. And HeyGen actually makes the mouth look like it's speaking that language. It does the dubbing, and it's insane. And so this is Aman. So Aman works at Salesforce. He was the one of the gentlemen that just makes outstanding demo videos. And so I'm going to play a clip of Aman doing his thing in English. And then I'm going to play a clip of Iman speaking what appears to be perfect German. And I will tell you that Iman speaks zero German. All right, let's go over here. And again, the audio Might be a little bit weird, but I'll just hit play here.
All right, so I'm going to give you a demo twice. Coming up in just a few seconds, we're going to walk through the sales cycle from beginning to end, all in about 5 minutes. After that, you're going to see a menu pop up where you can pick and choose what topics you want to learn more about, and I'll give you a deeper dive on those. My name is Iman McMurray. I'm a solution engineer at Salesforce. All right, let's check it out.
Okay. I'm going to play that exact same snippet as we ran it through 11 labs and through HeyGen, and you'll see Iman now speaking perfect German.
Hallo, danke fürs Einschalten. In ein paar Sekunden werden wir den gesamten Verkaufszyklus in etwa 5 Minuten Salesforce durchleuchten. Nach diesem Intro sehen Sie ein Menü, in dem Sie Themen auswählen können, über die Sie mehr erfahren möchten. Ich bin Iman, Solution Engineer bei Salesforce. Wir springen direkt in die Oberfläche.
Okay, so let me get back to my presentation here. Yeah, I see some minds exploding, but you know what's incredible about that? It wasn't like it just translated it, and you know, like where Iman hit certain highs in English, in American English, it toned those down in German because you wouldn't necessarily go high in some of those areas. So anyway, I don't want to freak anyone out. If you have a hard time sleeping tonight, please don't text or call me. But you know, again, like it is time. The time is now to start looking at technology to help us in our profession because there's some really good stuff out there. With that, I'm letting you guys go early today. You could spend a lot of time today with anyone else, but you spend it with me. I super appreciate it. And I will hang around for some Q&A afterwards. Otherwise, you're free to go and enjoy DemoFest.
Awesome, Todd. Thank you very much for such a great session. Really pleased that the demo worked out perfectly. So thank you again. And thank you for all of the participation in the chat. So far, we have a couple of questions. As a reminder, we want you to feel free to add those questions in as we go over them. But let's start with the first one we got from Portia. It says, as a leader, how do you keep up morale during transition periods in the industry?
Oh, good question. So timely. Trying to make sure I fully understand that question before I just go run my mouth with it. Ooh, that's a nice deep one. Look, I think how I'd answer that is transparency and leading with transparency and honesty. And I think a lot of people's stress comes from the uncertain and the unknown. I know, like, whenever I'm feeling anxious on a Sunday night, it's because I'm heading to a week where, you know, I know what my job is, but politically speaking or organizationally speaking, I don't know what's going to happen. And that's a big stressor. And so I think from a leadership standpoint, you know, you have to be as open and transparent with people as possible, even if it means like some tough news. And so, you know, that's how I've always led with in the past. And it's not always easy, but I think at the end of the day, people do appreciate you for it. And, you know, it's hard to do well. You're never perfect at it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Kelly asks another question here. Kelly says, love your session, Todd. When you were selling consensus internally at Salesforce, did you struggle to translate any of the KPIs cross-departmentally? Example is a pre-sales tool that will scale sales by X.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I was leading with pre-sales KPIs, and it was like, this is nice. You know, if I'm a sales leader, it's like, Todd, this is great, but we have 20 other software tools we can use, and you know, the training calendar is booked up for the year. Why should I do this? And so it really wasn't until I honed it and you know, probably fell on my face enough times in meetings to where I had one slide, and it was, hey, did you know your counterpart over here in sales, your sales leader counterpart, with their reps that are using consensus, they're having 2x close rates and 30% faster deals. It was a very quick conversation after that. It usually was, how do I get my team involved? What do you need me to do? And what does training look like? And I'm not exaggerating. Like, you go to a sales leader, especially selling in this time period with deal velocity and close rates, you're going to have their attention.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely very true. Mark asks, in a siloed organization, what's your advice to help other departments see the value you can bring if they're compensated in different ways than pre-sales?
Yeah, that's right. It always kind of gets back to driving behavior with compensation. Here's a little trick. It's something I've learned. If you're tooting your own team's horn on KPIs, like you show up to the QBR, right? And you have your own deck and you did your own math. You did your own research. And you throw that up in front of a room, you run the risk of people not believing it. And so if there is a team that runs the data, right? If there's a sales ops team, a rev ops team, data scientists, if you can get them to run the data and include it in the overall QBR from their perspective, that is going to carry a lot more weight. And I think this is like something that is so systemic in pre-sales, right? Is like, we're often forgot about, we're often not mentioned. And so here we are having to toot our own horn. And I think the real power comes into play when you have a neutral third party that is kind of telling our friends in CS or sales, this is the impact that this team is bringing, right? It's all about that neutral third party. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, that's great. And, from experience using RevOps and their amazing skills and magic to help, develop those business cases, I would add that to that as well. I have a question, and maybe this will be our last one unless someone else adds a question. So feel free, everyone. We've got plenty of time if you do. So you talk about this can't be about pre-sales. It's got to be about much bigger than that, and like revenue in general. I'm curious, you're able to successfully get revenue on board, but what was it like taking pre-sales team members through that track and through that journey to say, hey, this is more important than even what we're doing. We're impacting so much bigger, and kind of shifting that mindset to using things like demo automation with Consensus or 11 Labs. How did you successfully do that to help others get on board?
Yeah. And I think success is relative, right? I think, I don't know that there's a finish line there, but it always blew me away at how kind of hardwired everyone was when I first started talking to him about demo automation. If you think about where a lot of software is bought or training courses are happening, it's still around preparing us to do discovery and demos that are live with a customer. And, because that is the craft, that is the thing we all love to do. When you think about, a solutions leader, if you want to do more demos, what do you need? You need more people. And therefore, that's your currency, right? More people is how you do more of it. More people is how you get that promotion. And so I have really underestimated just how psychological that is and how people think about solutions. And frankly, I think why we're being held back, why we're holding ourselves back, is because all we can think about is that live Broadway stage and packing the theater. And packing the theater still has a capacity limit. And we just have to think differently. We have to think like doing more up funnel doesn't mean that your folks get on earlier discovery calls. It means you have to use some software, and so I think, I think that's the biggest challenge I still see out there. And those that get it pretty fast. And then there's those that are like, yeah, but you're never going to replace an SE. And like, I totally agree. You're never going to replace the live demo. Like, I don't disagree with any of that. Like, yeah, but discovery is still important. Hell yeah, it is. Like, more important than ever. But imagine if you didn't have to do the stupid harbor cruise and you could do really awesome discovery and do a really awesome demo. So it's not an or. And I think sometimes when people see me post on LinkedIn or talk, they're like, yeah, but I'm like, I'm with you. It's an and. We're and people.
That's so good. I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
We actually received 2 more questions. Braxton asks, what was the biggest gotcha expanding the scope of pre-sales across marketing, revenue, and even customer success?
Well, the biggest gotcha is someone's going to tell you to stop, or what are you doing? We own this. And marketing departments vary quite a bit company to company. I was very surprised because we kind of did it in secret, right? And then all of a sudden, like, luckily we tied it to marketing campaigns, like things that they watch every single week and day and measure. And it was one of the best performing campaigns in the company. And at that moment, someone could have come knocking on my door and said, shut it down. What the heck are you doing? You're not in marketing. You're in demos, man. Shut it down. But cooler heads prevailed, and someone said, this is generating pipeline. This is closing deals. And so I think the biggest risk is just you come across someone who's territorial. It's like, why are you in my swim lane? They shut it down or they come after you, right? Which, let's be honest, happens quite a bit. So I had defenses on the ready for that day. I was waiting for it. And what I ultimately came up with was, if someone was like, what are you doing making videos? That's marketing's job. My response was, yeah, you guys make videos. You own the website. Good on you. You don't make demos. That's our turf. That's Solutions turf. So happens we're recording them, but these aren't marketing videos. And that was going to be my attempt at saying, like, I'm swimming in my lane. Please don't accuse me of swimming in yours. A little bit of passion around this one, Ty. Like I'm just speaking from experience.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it's really good to hear the passion behind it. And I think you answered that question really well. Braxton, thank you for that great question.
Great question.
Joel has a question. Joel says, what are potential reasons why an organization would not want to replace the term pre-sales or any of its other names with solutions?
Look, I mean, there's a lot of things out there named pre-sales, like Pre-Sales Collective and podcasts out. It's everywhere, right? If you've ever gone through a rebrand, you're like, oh, I can't imagine like replacing the logo 10 million times. By the way, I had old logos on my slides today. I just saw that. Shame on me. But it's change, and it's, I don't know. Some people are probably attached to that word, and I know a lot of people are attached to that word. And so, if it's going to cause unnecessary cycles, like, don't worry about it. But in the example I gave in the beginning, it was a mindset shift that kind of started to unlock people, and that would be a good reason. But hey, if people are like, I have 10,000 jackets with the word pre-sales on it, what are you doing to me? Like, just keep it. Who cares? As long as you call me, right?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And we were getting some great feedback as well. People loved this session. So thank you, Todd, for leading us through all of this. We're going to go ahead and wrap up our session here. As a reminder, just so you all are aware, we're very excited to be bringing DemoFest on the road again. We had a great time in San Francisco in February, and we can't wait to bring the event to London and New York City again later this year. You can register to join us at either of these events at demofest.com or at the link in the Docs tab on the right of your screen. We also encourage you to stop by our expo hall to visit our premier partners of DemoFest. Remember, there is no transfer of money involved in this event, so all of our partners here have gone above and beyond to contribute to making this event a success for all of you. Thank you again, everyone, for joining the session and for your great participation. And Todd, thank you so much for your valuable insights and knowledge. We're so glad that you're here at Consensus. Up on the screen are the upcoming sessions. You will automatically be pushed to the next session on your track. However, you can switch tracks or sessions by toggling the agenda tab at the top left of your screen, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.